Welcome back. We are joined now by Lief Simon and Kathleen Peddicord, the co-founders of Live and Invest Overseas, who have been spending time in France for about 20 years now. So they're going to tell you all about why Paris has become part of their long-term life plan.
Hello, Kat, and hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you. Lief and I are in Paris, where we spend part of each year. We have lived in Paris full or part-time for better than 20 years now. I would say that Paris specifically, France in general, but Paris specifically, is a great choice for anyone looking for life in the old world. Anyone who prioritizes life on the continent, dreams of a European lifestyle, France should be at the top of your list. And Paris specifically, for me, is the most beautiful, most romantic city in the world. Has so much to recommend it, as you've been hearing about all throughout the day. We came here not as retirees at all, but more than 20 years ago with a business and a business plan. But over the past 20 years that we've been getting to know Paris well, we've realized that, as far as we can tell, Paris is really the best place to think about actually retiring. And what I mean by that is, we could say I could say I've been quote unquote retired overseas for 27 years now. But Lief and I moved from the States to Ireland and then Paris and then Panama, not to stop working and not to even to slow down, but in each case with an entrepreneur agenda to start a business. And so we have worked all throughout our 27 years of experience living outside the States. But we are at an age now where we're looking forward to the next stage, to the stage where we will actually, officially, conventionally be retired, which is to say not working full time. And so when we think about that, and we could retire anywhere, we could go anywhere at this stage, and we have home bases in other places. We have strong connections and infrastructure and literally homes in Panama, both in Panama City and at Los Slotes on the Veraguas coast. We have a home in Medellin, Colombia. We have a home now in Woodstock, Illinois. We have other properties around the world. We could, when we reach that stage, which I do think is still some years off, but when we reach that stage, there are lots of options for where we could settle in for the long haul. But as far as we can tell, again, Paris offers the best set of circumstances for someone at that stage of actual retirement, where you're looking to just savor life and to make things as convenient and comfortable as possible, because mobility might be restricted. You might begin to have health concerns, the concerns that come as we all age. And when you face them, where do you want to be? Well, Lief and I have decided we would like to be in Paris. So we thought the best way to show you why we've come to that conclusion might be to show you what a typical week for us is like in Paris. So we've named our presentation 1 Week in Paris, why the City of Light is part of our longest term plan.
Well, and I think, Kath, that's the short way to put that is, right, when we can't get on a plane anymore for one reason or another,
exactly,
and don't want to deal with the jet lag anymore for one reason or another, then Paris is the place to stop moving around.
This is where you'll find us. Exactly.
And just hang out. And people ask, if we only could be in one place, where would it be? And it would be Paris, which is, the whole point of the presentation. But for now, we're happy to continue to move around and enjoy the contrast of the options that we put in place over the last 20 years.
Exactly. So here we are.
You weren't describing the first photos.
I wasn't. I thought they were just kind of color shots. They're just us being in Paris. But
they are. But I think we should draw out. So anywhere you live in Paris, you're going to be no more than probably 100 or 200 meters from a park. We happen to be very close to the Tuileries. That's the shots of Kathy there in the summertime. They put up the big Ferris wheel. Also for the winter carnival, they put up the big Ferris wheel there. And then I think the next shot that's in the Tuileries as well. So we end up spending a fair amount of time in the Tuileries. It's about a 5-minute walk from
Well,
where
and I
we
guess
are.
really, yeah, the real point here is that in Paris, apartments are small. They're on the small side, but the city is your living room. And so you spend a lot of your day out enjoying the city. And there is so much in the city to enjoy free. And it's literally on your doorstep. And as Lief says, starting with parks and gardens, which are everywhere. And so everything we're going to show you over the next half hour is within a 15-minute walk of our apartment. So these are all places we go all the time, places we would go every week or even every day and pass through as a matter of course, running our errands and just going about day-to-day life.
Well, I'll state you can have a big place in Paris, but if you're if you're on any kind of reasonable budget, you're not going to have 3,000 square feet like you might have back in the States. So you want to get out and walk around and enjoy the city.
Okay, so starting with grocery stores. One of the things you're going to think about every day is eating. And in Paris, you won't have to go far to find anything you might want in the way of groceries. So these are 3 of the main grocery stores. And again, these are all within a few minutes walk of our apartment. On the right, you see Monoprix. And this is a grocery store. You might not recognize it from outside, but that's a grocery store that's very typical to a US style grocery store. And then 2 other big ones here in Paris or in France are Proxy and Carrefour. And, your life, day-to-day living is very different in Paris than in the United States. You're not shopping in a big footprint store. You're not shopping in a big box store. You're going from shop to shop looking for specific things, which when we were younger, I'll admit, when we were first here and our children were young and we were building a business and working, full time and overtime, it was frustrating to me because I wished I could just go to one place and buy everything I needed in the moment. Now I am able to slow down and appreciate the lifestyle that this necessitates. You must slow down because you're going from place to place. We're going to stop here for this and here for that. And then, then we're going to run around the corner and look for this, rather than just showing up at a Target where you literally could buy anything that you needed in the moment. But it's all within walking distance, and walking from one point to the other is part of the experience. So running errands, living in central Paris, running errands is entertaining. It's a treat.
Then there's pharmacies. There's half a dozen pharmacies within 5 to 8 minute walk for us. Unfortunately, none of them are ones that are open on Sunday. So that's the one thing missing. The Tabac, our son unfortunately smokes, so we took a picture there when I was picking up cigarettes for him.
It's worth mentioning, if you go back, that you can only buy tobacco products in a Tabac.
Right.
So you can't buy them in the corner shop or in the grocery store. And so you have to seek out an actual Tabac, and there aren't that many of them left.
There's fewer and fewer of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sell other things, drinks and whatnot, and snacks and drinks and stuff.
This is Lief getting his hair cut. And Lief is, the Economist has had the Big Mac index. In our family, have a haircut index. So we pay attention to what Lief pays to get his haircut in different places around the world. What is the current price in Paris, Lief?
In Paris, if I go to the 18th near where the office is, it's 12 euros. This place, and this was a few years ago, was 25 euros at the time. And so I prefer to go to the barbershop up in the 18th. So in our neighborhood, it's about twice as much.
It's still affordable.
It's still affordable. Yeah, it's not terribly expensive. I just paid 18 euros in Greece, and I pay $19 in Panama, which is in a fancy place.
And what do you pay when we're in Woodstock, Illinois? When we're in
Woodstock, it's $15 now.
So it makes the point that it maybe is a segue for us to spend a minute talking about the cost of living in Paris. It is more affordable than you might imagine.
Right. Paris can be very expensive as a tourist, and people think, oh my goodness, could never afford to live here. But if you're having a drink on the Champs-Élysées, you're paying full board tourist prices. You have to look into the neighborhoods and figure out where things make sense to buy. So you find the places that have the better prices.
And other things beyond groceries can be surprisingly affordable. For one example, I like to highlight because I think it is one of the world's greatest bargains. We have here in Paris an internet, phone, and cable package that the internet is 400 BPS. Is that right?
Yeah,
400,
yeah, megabits per second. Yeah.
megabits per second. It's 45 euros a month.
Well, that includes the internet, the cable, and a landline, which we don't ever use. But so it's more than just the internet, and it's half the price of just the internet in our place in the U.S.
All right, this is inside our apartment. We thought we'd just give you some insights into our life here. We work most days from the apartment, but we do also have an office. We have another apartment in Montmartre, which is another very different area of Paris. And I like showcasing this because it makes the point that within Paris, you have many, many very different options for where to base yourself, and your day-to-day living, your lifestyle in each would be very different. In here, we live in the 7th arrondissement, and we are really in the heart of central historic Paris. And it's a little bit staid and formal, and it's very conventional French. In Montmartre, it's a very completely different scene. When we take the metro to go to the office there, you come out of the metro stop, you climb the stairs, and you come out into a world that is completely different. It's a colorful scene. It's like a carnival scene. And there are loads of tourists, but different kinds of tourists. It's an artist zone. This is where Toulouse-Lautrec painted. And he painted what he saw. So all the works of Toulouse-Lautrec, which are mostly of working girls, he was painting what he saw, what was all around him all day long. And so that is Montmartre. And we appreciate the contrast from where we live in the
south. That neighborhood has different but similar of all of these shops. And actually more takeaway places because it's more of a touristy area.
So I think we'll have to cut it off there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.